Hey everyone, this is episode 2 of my playthrough of Frog Hop to celebrate the first anniversary of the game's release. If you don't know anything about me, I am the solo developer of this game. I worked on this project for a little over 4 years, and it's made in Game Maker Studio. And yeah, so I thought I'd do some insightful commentary, hopefully insightful, and just kind of just talk about how this game came to be. So we looks like we completed that first world, so we unlocked some new stuff. I might do that one. That one's pretty sweet. I think there's an achievement where if you have these on, and I don't remember. I think there's an achievement with these though. Time jump. So the time jump, I can probably point it out later. It was my attempt to throw in all sorts of dynamic, like extra mechanics into the game that, you know, aren't intrusive but add like a degree of depth. So I'll demonstrate a little bit later. Buster pendant, that one's pretty cool. Air horn, that one's pretty crazy. We'll do these speedy sneakers. It's so funny because this is version 1.03, and originally this game did not have these charms had like a lot of negatives, so it's just so funny seeing that. Let's see, can buy a hat or something. Nice, yeah. Probably one of my favorite details with this the charms in this map screen is the effects for some of them actually carry over. So. And the speedy sneakers, they got changed quite a bit because some people who play my game are speedrunners, and so upon request, some people just wanted something that makes them go fast. So, and I think in the end, it works out just fine. These ducks were, I think, influenced by a game called Maple Story. Doing the code for them was pretty fun. I think their code is based off of the same AI from the game Ball Dodger X. I believe that's the game. I already have it, so there you go. The crabs. I think the crabs were definitely made pretty early on the game. That sound effect. Nice, got him. Now the crabs will, like, if you're directly in front of them, they'll like speed up and start like chasing you. This area right here is to teach the sand, and also show that there's also secrets, a bit of some secrets hidden underneath the sand. Nope, missed that one. Yeah, there it is. I probably would not have. I think I should have moved that life a little bit up, but whatever, it's a secret. Up here. I'm not sure what influenced my decision to go with a beach level next, but it was just kind of something that I wanted to do. Because I know, like, you know, when you're trying to choose an environment for your game, you know, there's a handful of tropes to follow. But for some reason, I just wanted to do a beach level, so. Oh, I should probably mention the time jump. So essentially, I need to, let me get rid of this guy. So whenever you press and hold jump right before you land on an enemy, you get a little bit more height than normal. So if I do it right, no, that was not it. Nope, not that one. There we go. So the enemy did a little white flash, and if you do that, you get more height out of your jump. And you get that one. So it's mechanics like that. I think that one was actually influenced by Paper Mario. It's just little stuff like that that I wanted to have, because I wanted this game to be deceptively simple, but actually there's a lot more going on than people realize. I do feel bad for some of the people that have playtested my game, because you know, they experienced the game when these charms were not as good, and just a lot of little fixes here and there, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes. That one. I'm not sure where that other door goes. I think it goes to a different room. This moving water, I think it took me a few days to get it right, because it basically was like I had to hack the way my water code worked and modify it so that it could move up and down. And I think that was influenced by Rocket Knight Adventures, because there's a level where like the water's moving up and down, and the level's like based around that, like to avoid spikes. It's funny seeing the diamond UI underneath each level, because originally I think whenever you walked up to a level, there would be like I think there were multiple ways to get gems. I think there was one way where if you beat a level fast enough, you'd get like bronze, silver, or gold time. I think there was one where if you avoided dying a lot, yeah. But it was just kind of like I needed to simplify this UI, because I mean it's just a low resolution frog pixel art game, you know. So. I'm gonna get rid of the ducks too. Forgot what that sounded like. Oh yeah, you can also boost with that. That's pretty sweet. So you can actually double jump with this thing if you shoot downwards. There's a lot of new enemies that are thrown in here. I think one of the other first world levels has like the introduction to sea creatures. This level really kind of supposed to show that there's more in the great blue sea with all the jellyfish and the kelp gimmick. The swimming mechanics were an interesting thing to design, because I was trying to make it so that when you there's many ways of doing it. Like you could do like an 8-directional movement system, but I kind of liked how Mario World did it, where you can just jump infinitely when you need to. I could have done it like Sonic, but I didn't like how you just sink at the bottom for no reason. And I also wanted to have as little pressure as possible on the player with an air meter. I think that would have caused a lot of like unnecessary stress, and so swimming actually is probably one of the more enjoyable parts of this game, because you're essentially like have like a lot of freedom of movement. So I like how it turned out in the end. Big giant crab. I forgot what game influenced my decision to have some like giant enemies hidden behind the kelp. This door, this is definitely patched, like a later patch, because a lot of people could not figure out where to go, and so I added this. I made it really obvious that this is a doorway to something important. So the swing node code for the thing where you can, the green one, it'll probably appear later in this level, I think. It was a lot, once I was able to lay out the foundation for the mechanics of the swinging and all that, it was a lot easier to code in newer ones by basing it off the previous one. So this one, if you tongue it, you like snap to it. I believe that's influenced by Yoshi's Story. Love the sound effects for that. Yeah, there's a green one. So this is the swing node. The yellow ones were based off of the swing node's base code. I'm not sure why I put that one there. I think I was like trying to make it so players could move fast. Wow. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, the jellyfish, they were like stun immune, so it was a lot hard. I was trying to have the enemies be as unique as possible, which is why I avoided having clone enemies like turtles with wings or just things like that. But I think had an affinity for, I think I was playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and that game had like palette swaps is what they're called, where it's the same enemy but they change their color. And usually they'll make them have a different quirk, and so I think I did that with like some enemies, but I tried to make the enemies as different as possible in this game. But similar in some ways, like those pufferfish, they're based off of the hedgehog, but they're in the water. I like that song. Air horn. Ooh, flippers. What can I buy? Guess I'll do this one. Yeah, it makes the UI different. That actually wasn't too hard to code, making the UI like the different faces you see on the bottom right. He has like a completely different stare now. This is actually one of my favorite songs that I've made for this game. One of them. Yep, definitely. Yep, there we go. Flippers. I forgot what the weakness. I'm trying to recall like what they were originally. You definitely moved faster in the water, but I think like your ground movement speed was like terrible. So that thankfully got changed. I think I had I'm pretty sure I had over 100 game development ideas while this game was being made. Because, you know, when you work on a game for so long, I like that room. You just kind of start to stockpile all these ideas for like what your next game could be. But it's just funny how I'm literally one guy, and I'm trying to like, oh man, I'm gonna make you know, the next sequel. It's gonna be like a trilogy. I don't even know. I'm just joking about the trilogy thing. I honestly am perfectly happy with this game being a standalone. I think it's a little more fun to explore new game ideas versus oh, a little bit out of my reach. Versus doing another sequel. And I think sequels, especially when you've nailed it really well with your first game, it's very difficult to do another game. Starfish, one of my favorite enemies. That face. I think I can deflect these. Got him. Do this one. Yeah, so this is what the face is supposed to look like in the bottom right, but I have the goofy face charm, so that's why it's doing that. I'm not sure why I thought of that. I think I just thought it'd be fun. I'm not sure where the idea came from though. Let me see if we can get this one. Oh, got him. That's pretty fun. If I ever put a mechanic like that again in a game, I would. Oh, missed him. Just standing there.
Alright, so this is the shark level. So let's go ahead and go down here. So this level had an interesting development cycle because it originally, I don't know if it was originally sharks or not, but I think it went through a couple iterations. Like I think it was going to be like a quote open world level design, but instead I based it around the idea of being mysterious. And so now you have these shark enemies, which were actually, I kind of look at them now, and it was very difficult to design them because I was trying to give them very dangerous looking fins. So when you just try jumping on them, you take damage. And so I was trying to reinforce the tongue attack because that's kind of the theme with the beach level, is using your tongue ability. And so I wanted to try and reinforce that for the player, but whether I did a good job or not, you know what, I mean, live and learn. You kind of just figure out what works and what doesn't, and it's clear like I should have probably been a little bit more hand-holdy with this sort of design in terms of the sharks, but yeah. But I wanted to make them like dangerous, like a predator of sorts that chases you down, so that was kind of the idea behind them. So, oh. And the guppies were just a thought of like, it would be fun to just have enemies that just died to your tongue attack. So I do like how they turned it around. That parallax does look actually quite good. The dark cave. I think it's been a while since I've done this, but I do know that this room in particular was actually an afterthought, because the light engine, this the darkness mechanic that's in this game, was actually not really considered until I want to say like after World 4 was done. So that's the sewer world. So that's kind of like foreshadowing if you've never played this game, although I kind of would have expected people who are watching this to have played through this game already. Nice. But yeah, this room, I kind of look back on it now, and I think I overdid it in terms of like enemy count, and it's a bit crowded. I think one of the biggest issues I ran into was, whenever, again, like I've mentioned it before, but the idea of creating an idea list where, oh, I have this new idea for this thing. The only issue I've found with that is, I ended up wasting a lot of time coding in all these instances, the guppies, this water stream, the darkness mechanic, and it all kind of accumulated to the point where it was actually too many assets, and so it became very difficult to design levels. So if I ever had to redo it again, I probably would not do that, and would just try to design the game from the get-go, from the beginning to the end, and not spend any time trying to accomplish or finish off the ideas from the idea log, essentially. Alright, so let's do the octopus level. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think the original version of this room was really glitchy. And I think the player would randomly die for no good reason. And if I remember correctly, I believe there is a secret. I'd say most of the boss rooms, there is a secret pathway. Is it here? No, I don't think. I think it's here. Yep. Nice. So I kind of intended to have these secret passageways because I wanted to have, one, I wanted the player to have a faster way to get to the boss, so they didn't, when every single time they died, I didn't want to do the thing where they had to go through like an insane journey to get to the boss fight. So that was the intention behind that. Bit of a shocker with the octopus. Because I believe I did that entrance with the octopus kind of swimming in quickly because I thought that I found that the the way the owl introduced itself, the first world's boss, I really liked how it kind of surprised the player and wanted to do the same thing. And plus, it also was for the design of the boss, because it helps give the player like the ability to anticipate where the boss comes from. I think I can get a quick hit here. Yep. Yeah, you can't hurt it while he's spinning though like that. Can I yeah. I think that where he's like, he reacts to you when you bop him, I think that was actually influenced from a boss from Ristar or Rystar. It's a Genesis platformer. Oh yeah, D. Forgot about that. Yeah, I think I added that D input because I realized like players didn't try to attack the tentacles. When I designed this game with those vague mechanics, I never was trying to be like. I forgot about the animation. I was trying to design this game for a very specific type of player where, at least when I grew up with these old school games, I was used to the fact that the games did not tell you everything, and so you just experimented with like all the buttons on your controller, and so when the game doesn't tell you everything, it definitely was not a means of trying to like extend gameplay time or do anything mean. It was actually more of a way of me just trying to be respectful to the player and let them explore and figure out those little things that they can do in this game. Something as simple as, oh, you can walk through enemies while they're stunned, and it seems like kind of silly, like something so simple like that would be a big deal, but I found that players who would play this game for the first time and they would discover those little things, they seem to really like enjoy that just that rush of feeling like they figured it out on their own, and they end up incorporating that discovery into their play style. So something like the timed jump, where they press jump right before they land on an enemy, and that definitely wasn't it. Mechanics like that, I notice players will try to do that more, and so yeah, it was definitely not intended to be malicious. It was just more of a means of just trying to give the player freedom to just express their gameplay styles. So yeah, like that. I like this art. This cutscene art, man, it actually does turn out really good. It really reminds me of It really reminds me of Putt Putt, or just those humongous entertainment games. That turned out really good. And it's funny because those platforms he's standing on are actually based off of the arena you were just fighting the boss in. Alright, well I think that concludes this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the third episode. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this playthrough, and stay tuned.